So the topic which we are going to talk is science of emotions. I feel the basic and the fundamental thing that keeps us moving is the emotions. So there are two emotions that we have by and large: emotion of pain and emotion of pleasure. Throughout our existence, what we try is to attract the emotion of pleasure and to remove the emotion of pain. And that is the quest of our whole life: pain and pleasure. As our scripture says, the life is nothing but, they call it Sat Chit Anand. It's a journey, it's a quest to identify Sat Chit Anand, the feeling, the emotion of happiness. Sat means something that will be permanent. I bought a new car today, I am happy. Tomorrow if it got its first dent, I am unhappy. Something that is permanent, everybody seeks permanence. That's why we make houses, we try to get a permanent job kind of things, into a permanent relationships, that is Sat. Second is Chit, something that should not be only in statistics, it should be felt. I may be $1 million person, I may be a billionaire, but I am not happy. Something that should not only be in figures, that should be felt, that is Chit and Anand. Anand is made up of two words, A plus Nand. Nand means happiness. Nand ke ghar Anand bhayo jai kanhaiya lal. Krishna took birth Krishna came to the house of Nand. Whosoever becomes Nand, Krishna automatically reaches his house. So if you want to attract Krishna, be a Nand. But it is Anand. Anand means a happiness that is all pervasive, which comes from all different dimensions: physical, materialistic, spiritual, all different dimensions of happiness, that is Sat Chit Anand. So this is the emotion we all seek in our life, the emotion of happiness. But then life offers many challenges. I train officers of the Ministry of Defence, Government of India. Let me share my own experiences. I knew a person who was a deputy commandant in BSF, Border Security Force, and he was in charge of bomb defusal squad. It was his duty to identify, if any bomb is identified, to go and defuse it. One fine day a bomb was identified, it was his duty, he went there and he was trying to defuse it. But two wires which should not have been connected together somehow unfortunately got connected by chance. And that bomb exploded in his own hands. Bomb was so powerful that his lower portion of his body flew away and it fell down 20 feet away from that place. The moment it happened, people who witnessed it, and he himself realized that he is not going to live for more than 5 seconds. It was a real incident and he shouted at the top of his voice, he shouted, "Mujhe bacha lo, mere bacche chote hain. Save me, my kids are small." Again he shouted whatever prana he was left with, "Save me, my kids are small." And the last words of his life was, "Save me, my kids are still small." And he died. The moment he died, when I was reading it in the newspaper, I realized that throughout the life we keep, till we live, we have so many priorities in our life. But the moment life reaches to its culmination, last moments, what they call first things first. His last words was not, "Mujhe bacha lo, save me, I have one more package to get. Save me, I need to get transferred to some bigger place. Save me, I have many files to be cleared in my office. Save me for so many things." He said, "Save me because kids are small." So the pyramid of life, the pyramid of priorities of life, which remain inverted probably throughout the life, when life comes to its last moment, automatically it becomes straight. First things first. But till we live, though we really want happiness, but till we live in a manner that we keep on postponing that happiness. Kal kar lenge. We need to give time to our parents, we'll do it tomorrow. We need to sit with our kids and listen to their stories, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll sit next to our spouse and talk to her, we'll do it tomorrow. And we keep on postponing it as if we have got infinite time in this world. Do we really get that time? It is said, "Kya bharosa hai zindagani ka, aadmi bulbula hai pani ka." We are just a bubble of water. But still we keep on postponing things. Once upon a time, a person went to Yudhishthir and he wanted some dana. Yudhishthira was a bit busy. He said, tomorrow you come at the same time, I'll give you that. Bhim was also standing there when the moment Bhim heard Yudhishthira telling him that you come tomorrow and I'll give you that ram tomorrow, Bhim rushed, and there used to be a big bell that somebody used to ring whenever the Pandavas used to win battle. Bhim went and started ringing the bell. All Pandavas rushed to Bhim and asked, why you are ringing this bell? We haven't fought any battle, leave alone winning. Bhim replied, Bhratashri, to the Yudhishthira, Bhratashri, today you have won a battle which nobody before you could ever win. You are Dharmaraj and you never lie. Just now you told that person that you will give him dam tomorrow, after 24 hours. It means for next 24 hours, you will for sure live. You are the first person ever who walked on earth who has defeated Yamraj for 24 hours. And that's why no victory can be bigger than this victory. I am bringing this back. And then Yudhishthira realized, आगाह अपनी मौत से कोई पसंद नहीं, सामान 100 बरस का पल की खबर नहीं. And that's why, but we keep on postponing as if we really are gonna live for long. I know a person, he is a very senior executive in a corporate. He had a small daughter, 3 years old daughter. He took that daughter to a garden nearby his house. He was seated on a bench near the garden, and that daughter was playing here and there, 3 years, small kid. After a few minutes, another lady came. She also had a 3 years old son, and both kids started playing, and that lady sat next to him. Both man and woman, they were staring, they were adoring their own kids, and they were playing, kids were playing. Suddenly this man realizes, and looking at his watch, he told his daughter, Beta chalo, I am getting late. Small daughter playing, said, Papa, just 5 minutes. Papa smiled and said, okay, fine, play. She started playing. And he was so much happy looking at her playing that he couldn't understand the time flew, and after 15 minutes he saw his watch and he said, Beta, I am really getting late, can we go? Small daughter again said, Papa, pakka, honestly, just 5 minutes. He took a deep breath, he said, okay, fine, play. He started playing, he started staring and appreciating her playing. Again 15 minutes went, and then he realized he is really getting late. He told to his daughter, Beta, I am really getting late, I'll have many works to be done at office, can we go now? Daughter said, Papa, last 5 minutes. Father smiled at her and said, okay, play. She started. Again time flew, after 15 minutes, again he said, Beta, today my boss will really be critical on me, let's go, I am really getting late. Daughter said, Papa, swear you last time. So, what to say? Father also smiled the way you smiled. Father said, okay, fine. And the daughter again started playing. When everything this was happening, the lady who was seated next to father, she became a bit uncomfortable, and she told to this gentleman, that sir, I am really very much impressed by your behavior. Such patience you have. Had there been any other male, he would have started shouting on the daughter. Said, so far, you have got so much patience. I am really very much happy with your behavior. Looking, and when she was appreciating this gentleman, this person realized, no madam, you're getting me wrong. It is not that the patience is my basic nature. It is not that I have always been like this. The girl who is playing here is my younger daughter. My elder son was doing engineering from Bangalore, and last 31st December, when he was coming back from New Year party, he met with a deadly accident and he got expired on the spot. And while I was taking his dead body back to home, the only one thought that was killing my soul, snapping inside it, was I could not spend even 5 minutes of peace with my son ever. I don't know in what things I was involved throughout my life. I did not really have 5 minutes of peace and happiness with my son, and today, now I don't have any chance to get it. He added, Madam, it is not that I am giving her, my daughter, 5 minutes to play every time. Actually, I am giving myself 5 minutes every time to look her play. Because friends, it is true. Our whole existence is just like a bubble. We read newspaper daily, day and night we read newspaper. If somebody will ask, when Yaksha asked Yudhishthira, what is the biggest strange thing, biggest wonder in this world, do you think? Yudhishthira replied, the biggest wonder of the world is, we see thousands of people dying every day, still we live as if we are never going to die. And that's why Kali Mata is projected like this, with a skull in one hand, with a bowl of blood on another, tongue coming out, and below his feet is Lord Shiva. What does it reflect? Shiva is Mahakal, Kal means time. Kali is death. The picture represents that har Kal hum Kali ke niche dabe hue hain. Every moment we are just beneath death. Our life is on bail from death. We are living by chance. And that is something that makes this life the most wonderful thing. There was a movie called Troy, if you have seen that. In that, the actor tells the actress, do you know, we human beings are so lucky that even God are jealous of us. She asked why. He said, because we are going to die one day. Because we are going to die one day, every moment of our life is very beautiful, unprecedented. It is never going to come back ever again. It's so beautiful, life. But still we keep on postponing it as if. Now let me ask you a simple question. And be very honest in answering it. God forsaken, if this will be the last moment of your life, imagine this moment is the last moment of your life. After this moment, this world is not going to see you. You will be history. You, your thoughts, your perceptions, your opinions, your wisdom, your authority, your responsibility, your everything will be history. After this moment, you are not going to be in this world. This is the last moment of your life. Now keep yourself in that state of mind. This is the last moment of your life. And go inside you and tell me, whom or what are you missing the most at this moment? This is the last moment of your life. You're done. You're done. At this last moment of your life, whom or what are you missing the most? Yes, what are you missing? Or whom are you missing? This is the last one. Children, fine. Whom are you missing? Parents, loud and clear. Who are you missing? Kids, who are you missing?
Children.
Children, who are you missing? Parents, who are you missing? Green.
Kids.
Kids, who are you missing?
Kids.
Kids. Yes, yellow t-shirt. Who are you missing? Parents. You? Children. I have asked this question to 35,000 people so far. And do you know, whenever I ask this question, everybody said that either it is the parents, children, or anybody of the family relatives we miss the most at the last moment of our life. I can bet upon it. Then when I ask this question, nowhere to the next horizons of your thought, logo of your company would not have come. Wherever you must be working. You may be spending your whole life in MetLife, but when it comes to this question, you wouldn't have thought about MetLife at all. It was not there at all in your options. You forgot. You forgot. Look how our subconscious works. You forgot. Otherwise, what time morning you are going to get up will be decided by your organization you work in, yes? What you are going to wear today, probably at times, this also your organization decides. What you are going to do today, organization decides. You have promised your wife to take her to a movie today, evening. Are you going to fulfill that promise or not? This also your organization will decide. Which school district you are going to live, probably your organization will decide to an extent. How will be your annual or monthly budget, your organization will decide. Today when you are going back to your office in evening, you reach your office, you reach your home with a smiling face or a irritating face, your organization will decide. So everything about our life by and large is decided by the organization we work in. But when the question comes, what are you missing the most? Nobody thinks about the organization, leave about the private sector. I asked this question from the Ministry of Defense people also. I asked this question from the people who are safeguarding our borders, they also. They never said that it's the logo of their government that comes into their mind. Now my next question is, Now be as much as truthful as possible. Don't look at anybody else while you are replying it. You and your consciousness. Aapki Atma or Paramatma. Nobody in between. Whosoever name you just thought right now, whom you are going to miss the most at the last moment of your life, whatever relation or the person you thought just now, how many of us are giving our 100% to that relation or person today in our life? The person whom are we gonna miss the most in our life at the last moment? How many of us are giving our 100% to that relationship or to that person? Out of 202. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting? 3. So, now my next question from all of you is, if we are not giving, and I'm very happy that we all are honest enough to admit, no, we are not giving our 100%. Now my next question is, and for which I don't need any answer. If we are not giving our 100% to that relationship or to that person today, then for what day are we waiting for? Are we really waiting for the last moment of our life? I see many of the American movies, father just before dying calls somebody and say, go and tell my son I loved him very much. Oh, throughout your life you didn't have time to tell? And even still now you're sending a message, come on. Are we really going to live like this? Give your 100% to the relationship, to the association you are in today, because tomorrow is not there with us. And that is what makes a relationship or science of emotions start working. Now, it is not only that when we talk about this flow of a relationship, so there are two things which are very much important. Clock, how much time? And second is compass, where are we giving? How much time are we giving and where are we giving this time? Our future will come forever from wherever our time will go. Wherever we are putting our time, wherever we are putting our efforts, from there only our future is gonna come. And that's why we get many answers in that. People tell that if you want happiness, there are various options. Option number 1, get married. Option number 2, get a good job. Option number 3, kids bring you happiness. There are many options that we get. Let's see. Let's evaluate option number 1. The moment we think of marriage, the first question comes is he or he, or she or she. And nowadays in 21st century, the question may be he or she. So then there are many things that comes up here or there, intercaste, with permission, without permission, this month, that month, honeymoon, yes or no, kids, yes or no, this color, this clothes, that color, mother-in-law complexes, in-law, outlaws, anniversary of us seeing, meeting, feeling, kissing, hugging, so many anniversaries. You need to remember. And this is how. Is it really so that marriage always brings happiness? Nobody's saying yes. Say yes. It was a question. Don't wait for me to reply. It's very personal. So nobody said yes. That's okay. I came to know that there was a fellow in Japan, and his age was 112 years, and his wife was also alive. So people went to him and they said, "What is the essence of a successful married life?" Because they had an 80 years long married life. 80 years, kaise kiya? How did you make it happen? So that person replied from Japan that when I got married, we both decided that whenever there will be a disagreement, I will go outdoor. So I decided it 80 years back only, and on first day we decided that whenever there will be a disagreement, I will go outdoor so that issue should not be more, it should not aggravate. Then he took a pause and said, "You know, this 80 years of outdoor is the essence of our successful married life." Some person I was talking to, he said, "Sir, our strong marriage depends on 2 pillars, trust and happiness, trust and understanding." She doesn't trust me. I don't understand. So, we may think of that also, but then George Bernard Shaw so rightly said, there are two sorrows in life, if you feel like. There are two sorrows in life. One, not getting you wanted to get. First sorrow is not getting what you wanted to get, and second is getting it. There are two sorrows of life. First, not getting. I came to know that there was a person, he was a journalist, he was doing some research on some asylums, he was going and meeting many insane people. He went to an asylum and he met an insane. What he was doing is he had two stones over his head, over his ear, and he used to take one stone and used to write on the wall. And very philosophically he used to write with stone on stone itself. So this journalist asked the doctor, what is his story? It appears to be a philosophical, insane. So doctor, with a deep breath, he replied, actually he loved a girl like anything. He loved a lady like anything. And that girl he could not marry to. So that's why in her remembrance, he writes poetry and he became insane. Because he could not get that girl, he couldn't marry. Then he met many other people also in that asylum. He reached to a particular cage. The person who was inside the cage, he was very furious. The moment that the journalist came in front of him, that insane jumped over that bed and started beating his chest, shouting like Tarzan, and started taking his hairs out. The moment he was doing such furious activities, doctor asked. He asked from the doctor, what is his story? He is very furious. How do you manage it? Doctor took a deep breath and he said, he got married to that girl. That's why he got married. So the point is, dear friends, with no particular remark to any gender, it's either way. It's either way. So, when we say, what brings happiness? The research, I was trying to do some research also. There are some people who wrote, Mr. Gilbert wrote, because when we talk about the science of emotions, Mr. Gilbert wrote in his book that yes, married people are more happy than unmarried. It's a research. People who are married are more happy than people who are unmarried. But the research goes much deep, you see. Yes. But the point is, you can see the happiness graph just after wedding. We have to peek at it. It's research. It's not an opinion. And many of you must be surveyed in that. I don't know. Right? So this is what happens to the marriage. Yes, it increases after marriage, but this is what happens then. Next, graph itself speaks. And this is for women and for man. You can see that. And they said even happiness increases after divorce also. So if it is that, this is the research. They conducted a research. Fine. And you can see, man become immediately happy after divorce. Female become later happy. You can see their graphs. So there is no specific formula that we can back. So there is no specific formula. There is no specific formula whether marriage brings happiness or not, but one thing is for sure, happy marriages bring happiness. And unhappy marriages bring unhappiness. So it's a quality of relationship that we have that really makes the difference. But then we are given some other options also, that it is said that next. It's avoided, we have less time. Next. At times next times we have said that even job brings happiness. When I take sessions in corporates, I meet many people in corporates and I ask them, what exactly is the thing that you miss in your job? What kind of job you are looking for that can bring that emotion of happiness? Then people say that we need a job where we don't need to sell everything. Sales pressure is really a big pressure. We need a job that we don't need to sell anything, and second, our job should be permanent, whether we work or not. So happy, everybody is happy. This is what we wanted actually. So corporate people tell me two things, sir. One thing is that our job should be permanent, whether we work or not, and second, our what was the first? We shouldn't be forced to sell anything. And even if our company does not sell, our job should be secured and package should be increasing regularly. Then I went and started taking session in police services. Indian police, you know. Yeah. So when I started taking session in police don't need to sell anything, you know that. Their product is danda and nobody is wanting to purchase it. So police, no sales pressure. Second, their job is permanent. At times people expect them not to work even in India. And if they don't work, people are more happy. If they are not stopping you at traffic signals, people are very happy. They are not working. I'm free. So the point is, They are given salary. Their job is permanent. They are not supposed to sell. Technically, in corporate language, they should be the happiest people who walk on earth. Go and ask police people. Cops will tell you that, sir, from morning to evening, we see the worst of the society. Morning I pray, and the moment I reach my thana and my office, I receive so many negative news. Somebody was killed, somebody was murdered, somebody was snapped, some dacoit, something else happened. So he said, sir, the problem in our life is one, we are unable to give time to our family. And second, sir, enough of public exposure. We are seeking a job where we shouldn't get any public exposures finally. So I asked, what is your ideal job? So he said, for us, ideal job is where public exposure should be limited. We should have some time with ourselves, some peaceful time. Then I went to Border Security Force. BSF in India, do you know what their job is? Let me show you that. Next. We are less time. We need to skip this. Next. This is corporate. Next. Yeah, the police. This is what their job is. This is the real photograph. For 12 hours, they are supposed to do nothing but to look at the border, just to see. They are paid. Job is permanent. You are supposed only to see. Don't do anything. See. For 12 hours daily, they see, and this is the binoculars they are given to them, and they will sit alone. No public disturbance. Nobody will disturb them, and they'll keep on staring at the border. Do you know? When I ask them, you should be the most happy people because police want such kind of job where less public exposure should be there. Do you know what they said, sir? The biggest problem, one of the biggest problem Indian BSF is facing today is loneliness. They say, sir, it kills when you are lonely. When there is nobody around, whom to talk, and when this fellow will go to his camp, base camp at the border, he'll have 10 missed calls from his wife or his mother on his mobile. And the moment he'll call his wife will shout at him and say, "Apni mummy ko samjha lena. Tell your mother I cannot bear it anymore." 1,000 kilometers away from home, what will he do? Then I said, "Then what kind of job are you looking for?" Next. Then I went to ITBP, Indian Tibetan Border Police. These are real life examples. The photographs are taken by me only. Indian Tibetan Border Police, the police which is deputed at the borders of India, Bangladesh and China. All hilly areas. So I asked them, what kind of job are you looking for? So that fellow said, sir, we are looking for a job where we are given a bench and we need to sit on the bench and look at the border only. BSF was saying that is what is killing them. But ITBP is saying, sir, we need a job where we can sit on the border and just to look at the border. So I said, you don't get the bench then in your job to sit? He said, sir, we get a bench, but we get the bench at 15,000 heights, height of 15,000 feet. Daily to log in computer, to start the job, we need to climb 2,000 feet on daily basis, 20 stories building. In minus 40 degree temperature, and then the day job starts. And then he very quietly said, which gave me goosebumps, he said, sir, we are looking for a job where we should get enough oxygen to breathe. I said, you don't get oxygen. He said, sir, after 12,000 feet, we don't get enough oxygen also to breathe. When he was saying that we don't get enough oxygen, we'll be so happy in a job where we'll get oxygen to breathe. It reminded me of plush air-conditioned corporate corridors where people are unhappy. And then I went to Coal India. Coal India is India's biggest PSU. It is India's biggest PSU, and in Coal India, next, these are their working corridors. It is the biggest PSU. The duty is to dig coal from the mines and to bring light to everybody. So they dig 1,000 feet below the ground. They go into the tunnel. They make a tunnel. The average height of this tunnel is, let me tell you, 6 feet, 6 or 7 feet. Average height. You need to wear some helmet so that it should not hurt you. And then throughout the roof, there are holes, and they nail into the roof so that roof should not fall down. And then there they blast. There are many marsh gases, CH4. There are many marsh gases, and then they blast, they dig the coal out. No sanitation, no internet, no mobile phones, and no oxygen. No oxygen. Oxygen is pumped by big fans inside the tunnel and another fan will take that old marsh gas away. So this is how they rotate the oxygen. No oxygen at all. And let me tell you, IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, National Institute of Technology graduates are working there. It is the biggest company in the country. And then I visited that coal mine. I met a person. He was a laborer. He was a day laborer. He was at the lowest hierarchy level in that organization. His duty was only to dig the coal and put it into the machine, nothing else. He was a non-skilled laborer. So I went to him and I asked what, and he was so busy in his work that when I visited, he was not ready to stop. So the senior manager, he told him, "Saab, aaye zara baat kar lo." So the moment he addressed me, so I asked, "What is your name?" So he said, "Sir, my name is Sukhlal." So I said, "Sukhlal, how much are you educated?" So Sukhlal said, "Sir, I am third class." Look at the positive attitude. He didn't say that fourth fail. This is what his attitude. He said third class. So he said, "Sir, I am third class." I said, "Okay, and who are the members in your family?" He said, "Sir, I have a daughter and son." I said, "Fine, good. What your son does?" He said, "Sir, my son is professor in a central university." I said, "Yes, come again." He said, "Yes, sir, he is a professor in the central." He named the central university. I'm not telling you, but he was a professor in central university. I said, "Acha, and your daughter?" He said, "Sir, my daughter lives in New York." I said, "Your daughter lives in New York, you are labor here, and your son-in-law, he's a scientist in New York in the organization." I said, "Your son is a professor in Central University, your daughter lives in New York, your son-in-law is a scientist, and you're working here as labor in such difficult situations where your life is at risk always round the clock. Don't your kids call you, don't your children call you to stay with you, to stay with them?" He said, "No, sir, every month my son calls me and he cries on phone that Papa, leave the job." Then I said, "Why don't you leave the job then?" The answer Sukhlal gave, I got stunned. I have done 4 post-graduation, 1 PhD for pursuing DILIT, but my whole education could not teach me what that third pass taught me that day. He said, the moment I said that, "Sukhlal, why don't you leave the job?" He said, "Sir, I was nobody. Nobody was ready to hire me. I was roaming here and there when Coal India gave me job. I was just third passer. Coal India gave me job. The books which my son studied and cleared IIT, that books I purchased by this coal only, sir. The bread that we used to eat at our home and my daughter grew up, that bread I earned from this coal only, sir. Everything in my life is given by coal only, sir. Now, how can I leave this? Now this coal will leave me, sir. I am not going to leave it." And he started working. And I was stunned. And that day I realized, because I addressed many of the senior officers of the government, I have seen very senior people being stressed and unhappy in strong cabins in the corridors of power. They are unhappy. And I have seen Sukhlal very much happy in 1,000 feet beneath the earth. And then I realized happiness is a choice. People who want to be happy, they are happy. And misery is optional. We opt. People whosoever feel miserable, it is because we opt for misery. We want to be miserable, and that's why we are miserable. It's a choice that we make in our lives. Let's do a small experiment. You have your notebook with you. I'm giving you a few minutes. What you're supposed to write is, put a heading called green list. Put a heading called green list. Quick, green list. And now write 3 things about your life which you love the most. 3 things about your life for which you feel like getting up in the morning. 3 things about your life for which you feel it's worth it. Life is worth it. What are the 3 things in your life which are the most important things for you? Which you feel that you are blessed with? Write those 3 things. Any. It can be any relationship. It can be anything. What is your green list? What are the 3 things in your life which are most adorable, most beautiful because of you? You feel like living. If those things will not be there, you won't exist at all. You don't want to live if those 3 things are not there. Right? Quick. Are we done? Good. Now, everybody has made their green list? All? Huh? Okay. Now, put another list. Call it red list. Right now? Red list. 3 things in your life you don't like. You don't like at all. You want these 3 things to improve. You don't want these 3 things in your life. Whenever you go to the altar of the God, you thought these 3 things should be fixed. Write those 3 things. Quick. 3 problems of your life. And write it sincerely. I'll pray from Goddess Saraswati, it will be solved. Do it. Make your red list. What is your red list? What are the 3 problems of your life? Wherever education is imparted, Goddess herself comes. So it becomes a very pious environment. Let's utilize this environment. What is your red list? 3 things that you want to solve. You have done it? Yes? Good? Fine. Now, we all together are gonna pray from Goddess to solve our red list. Yes. But you know, there is no free gift. Gifts are considered to be free, but they are never free. Even if you give a rose to somebody, you have some expectations. And you may need to give your whole life in return to the person who has given you rose. So, we need to give something back. We need to sacrifice something. So, say with me, all of us will say it together. Fine. What we are going to do is, we have our red list ready and we have our green list ready. Red list is the things that we don't like in our life and we want it to be solved, the problems in our life. And green list, what are the good things in our life. And now we together will pray from Goddess that, oh God, take away my all problems in red list against which I am ready to sacrifice my green list. Yes? We all will say it together. Should we begin? Huh? God is very considerate. Quran says Allah Rahim hai, merciful. So we can count because God is our Father. We can be a negotiating kid. Fine. So we'll negotiate more rather. If you all are not ready then, I will say now that God, remove all 3 items in the red list, but against that, take first item of my green list. Only one. Okay? Let's come. All of us will say it together. Should we begin? We are too much negotiating. Do you know that? This question also I have asked thousands of times. And to be very honest, I am still waiting for a single person ever who is ready for this exchange. I haven't met a single person ever who walked on earth who said, yes sir, I am ready to exchange. And that makes me feel that I should bow down on my knees towards that Lord. That's so beautiful world He has created. Everybody of us are more blessed than we are cursed. Nobody is ready to exchange. But then why we are unhappy? Because when in morning we open our eyes, we see the red list. We don't see the red list. So people who feel bliss in their life and who have got that emotion of happiness in their life, those are the people who focus on green list. And people who focus on the red list, those are the people who remain unhappy throughout the day. And the experiment was conducted, it was a real experiment. What they did is, they kept a bench, it was a residential program, so what scientists did was, they kept a dining table. On that dining table, they kept some chocolates. Good quality, good chocolates. And everybody went out and that hall was vacant. Only that dining table was there and the chocolate was laying on the dining table. And CCTV cameras were there so that everybody could see what is happening. Suddenly, in the afternoon, a kid, round about 6-7 years age kid, came into the dining table and the moment he saw chocolate on the dining table, he couldn't understand from where the chocolate has come. He saw here, there, and there. He saw and finally he took the chocolate. And then he, thinking something, started opening the chocolate and he ate. And he went. A1. Next day what they did is, next day again they kept the same chocolate at the same time. Next day also by chance that kid came, and the moment he came, he again found the chocolate laying there. He again went to the chocolate, he saw here, there, from where the chocolate has come, again he took the chocolate. He opened and he ate. Day 3, again they kept the chocolate. Third day, it was not by chance that that kid came. He came deliberately. He was so focused from that door itself because he knew for sure the chocolate will be there. He rushed, he saw the chocolate, he lifted the chocolate, he ate the chocolate. This time he never saw here, there, anywhere. He ate and he went. Day 4, they did not keep the chocolate. Fourth day when they did not keep the chocolate, fourth day also that kid came directly, focused and reached to the dining table. The moment he saw that there is no chocolate in the dining table, then he saw there, here, and everywhere he saw, and then he shouted, there used to be a chocolate here now, where is the chocolate? The moment he shouted, everybody realized this is the way we deal with our God. 3 days chocolate was there. Did we thank? One day it was not there. We keep on criticizing. My life is not God. This is not God. That is not God. Some people, remember dear friends, if in life we are not grateful, we are great fool. Thank you very much. We have some few minutes to go for questions. You're welcome with the questions. Either it was too good or too bad.
Too good.
Get back to that lightning.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the question is like, you need to spend some time with your family. You also need to, do your job or spend money for your family, right? So how do you approach these two things? Like both are equally important, right? And also like third, like you also need to be happy doing both. So it's not like, and no matter like how much time I would spend with my family, my kids, you're on the last day, I was still ready that I didn't spend enough time.
It's an important question.
Can you repeat the question?
Question is that how to balance that? We have to take care of our job also, and we have to take care of the family also, and howsoever we invest time in that, still we feel that more is to be done. It's a beautiful feeling to have. Dear friends, Mahatma Gandhi, when after independence, a rally was going in which everybody was shouting, long live Mahatma Gandhi. There was a person who started shouting, down with Mahatma Gandhi Murdabad. And when people looked back, the person who was shouting after independence, just after independence, down with Mahatma Gandhi, he was not Nathuram Godse. He was Gandhi's own son, shouting, drunk, Mahatma Gandhi Murdabad. And that day, world stood still and world realized, जो राष्ट्र पिता बन गया, वो पिता ही न बन सका. There is a separate skill set we require to be a father. We may be an exceptionally good manager, academician, but it has got nothing to do with what kind of father you are. These are the separate papers of the mark sheet called life. At the age of 70, 80, whenever you'll be concluding your life, for sure you're not going to conclude how many achievements you had in your professional life. It will be very comprehensive. So you're coming to your question, how to make it sure. Then we need to increase the quality in it. Quality in it. I told many people to give time to the family. I tell many people to give time to the family, stay with them, talk to them. So I received a call from one of the lady, and she said, "Are you Dr. Thoman?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Sir, did you tell my husband to give time to the family?" So I was happy about it. I thought she's gonna speak something good. I said, "Yes, I am the one." So she said, "Sir, I beg of you, can you tell him not to give this much time? We are sick of him now." So I said, "Why people are giving? People want their time. People want their husband or wives to stay." She said, "Sir, since your day of training, He came that evening and he told, look, today onwards I'll give 2 hours daily to all of you. And for 2 hours he grabs all of us and starts speaking. And we feel, oh my goodness. And he starts speaking and she said, so now the moment he enters, my son runs, everybody runs. Because now he's going to give time to us. Dangerous. And then I realized it was not his mistake, it was my mistake. I should tell that we need to give time, not to take their time. What is the difference between giving time and taking time? If you are giving time to the family, it means you sit without agenda. You will not have any agenda. And they will have agenda. You will not speak, kids will speak. No speech. Let them speak. This is giving time. And the moment you are speaking, you are taking their time. And they already have less. So it is very much important that give patient hearings. Fine. Let me show you, how paradise gets lost. More. Okay, fine. Back. Let me show you this also. We are going away from the topic, but it's okay. India, corporates understood that people want happiness. So they have started selling it. You can see, they are home delivery of happiness. Next, they have packaged it. 100% guarantee Lloyd is giving. If anybody of you have house in India, get these stuff which are displayed there and you will get 100% guarantee of happiness. Because corporate understands that happiness is the pain point. And that's why they have started selling it. You see? Come. It is the recipe that ban ho gayi thi Bharat mein, happiness ki recipe. Log dukhi ho gaye the. This is a chabi 1.5 lakh mein milti in 1.5 lakh only. Khushi ki chabi. And you know, this bad is khushiyon ka rangmanch hai. This is not a bad. The moment you go over it, you'll be so happy and delighted. There won't be any pain at all in your life, you see. And you can smell also. Next, you see. You can transfer if you have enough and you are not able to handle it. You can transfer it to Sumit Bank in India. Indians are really doing phenomenal work in selling happiness. And it is available at 50% sale. And if you feel that this 51% is not enough discount for you, you can go for 75%. So it's there. You can double it also. LIC can get you double it. You can do that also. BMW. So beautifully said that if you want to be happy for a day, drink. If you want to be happy for a year, marry. And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, come on, really? And it's so costly, it is available at 10 rupees also. You can open Dhakkan and be happy. But only people who are Dhakkan minded, they go for it. You see. And happiness has a website also, shadi.com, and you all have subscribed it already. So what yes, can you imagine that absolute vodka, absolute nirvana, name of the vodka is nirvana. They are selling it. Why they are selling it, you know? Because we feel some down the line that some material objects can bring that happiness to us. And remember friends, we all are grown up. Our kids are growing in an environment where from day to night, around the clock, they listen to such ads that happiness can be purchased, happiness can be stored. And that's why it is very much important for all of us to help the initiatives like Project Self. It's not about anybody, it's about self, and that's why it is Project Self. We all together can create an environment where our kids will really understand the essence of our scriptures in a different way. So it's very much important. So what I was one last thing, then I'll finish it up. Yes, red list we did. Come. Next. Let me tell you how happiness gets lost. Yes, sir. Next. We have less time. We need to. Back. You see how paradise gets lost. So it is the story of Kavita and Rajesh. They are husband and wife. Fine. So what happened is Kavita came from office, and today she was a bit tired. So Kavita says that there is so much to do. I don't have any time for myself. Kavita said. Rajesh said, "Achha, the problem is, what is the background of this is? There is a fundamental difference between man and woman." Can you backslide? What is that fundamental difference? Backslide. Back. Their basic requirements are different. Man need to receive trust, whether they are worthy of it or not. Man wants acceptance. Man wants appreciation in whatever they do. This is their basic needs, and women need to really understand it. Fine. Man needs admiration, whatever they are for. Man needs approval and encouragement. This is what are the basic needs of man. So you give it, man will be happy. But woman need is different. Woman needs care. She needs understanding. She needs respect. She needs devotion, validation of whatever she is. She'll be loved the way she is. She doesn't need to be somebody to be loved. And last is reassurance of love. So this is her need. So what happens is, the problem with man is men are pathetically solution oriented. So they try to give solution in first try, and that's why women's second requirement does not get fulfilled. Understanding. Look, if you have spent 10 years of your married life, your wife knows for sure, or even both of them knows for sure that we both are hopeless. We have no solution for anybody's problem. Fine, so don't consider that if your wife is sharing something with you, she needs a solution. No, she knows you are hopeless. Had you got a solution, you would have given 10 years back only. You don't, but she is just sharing it. So listen it so that you will understand it. But if you won't listen, she will feel, and if you try to give solution in between, it will be really a problem. And how paradise and house gets lost, let's see. Next one. वापस उसी पे आ जाते हैं, background हो गया. Yes, see. So Kavita was very tired today. Office से वापस आई. She said there is too much to do. I don't have time for myself. Rajesh said, you should quit the job. Look, solution. Who is telling you to go do the job? You don't have to work so hard. Find something else that you like to do. Did she ask for solution? Rajesh gave solution. Unsolicited solution are dangerous. Now go ahead. Then Kavita said, but I like my job. They just expect me to change everything at a moment notice. That's not possible. That's why I was a bit upset. But I do like my job. Rajesh said, then don't listen to them. Again solution. Then don't listen to them. Do just what you can do. Kavita said, well, I am doing that only. And then Kavita changed the topic because she understood he is not going to understand. So she changed the topic. She said, and I can't believe that I completely forgot to call my aunt today. You know that? Rajesh said, don't worry about it, she'll understand. What to do, she's getting no response, right? Again solution. Look, she is giving solution always. Then what to do? Then Kavita said, do you know what she is going through? She needs me right now. Rajesh said, you know you worry too much and that's why you remain unhappy. And then Kavita shouted angrily, I am not always unhappy. Can you just listen to me? Kya baat karna hai? And she went. Rajesh said, I am listening to you. I can repeat that, whatever you said. And that is how paradise gets. Now let's weaken it. Next one. Next. फिर से अपन इस scene को recreate करें. Kavita came, she was tired, exhausted. She said, there is too much to do. I have no time for me. Rajesh took a deep breath. Exhale. And Rajesh said, sounds like you have a hard day today. He didn't say anything. No solutions. No solution, only he took a deep breath and he said, okay. Seems so hard. Kavita then said, they expect me, they expect me to change everything at a moment notice. I don't know what to do. Rajesh said, People ask me, sir, we have tough fight between each other. What to say? I said, don't say. The saying creates problem. Listen. So Rajesh said, learn it from Manmohan Singh. For whole nation he said, So we have one person to say, Then Kavita said again, and even I forgot to call my aunt today. Rajesh didn't say anything. Rajesh said with a wrinkled eyebrow, oh really? The moment she said, I forgot to call my aunt today, Rajesh said, oh no, is it? Again he did not say anything, mind you. He did not add anything, no unsolicited advice. He is in fact saying nothing. Going further. Kavita said, she needs me so much right now. I feel so bad. Rajesh said, "You are such a loving person, Kavita. Come here, let me give you a hug." And he hugs him and things are done. All things are done. And paradise is retail. So, when I say how to spend time, whatever time we have can make the big difference. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, so this is not a lecture or seminar, this is a workshop. So please write down some of the takeaways and understand it, please. Apply it and persevere it, right? Yeah, and this is a moment of